Well, welcome back to another episode of Talk Yo Shift. It's De'Eric.
This is Antoine.
Listen, we back at it again. This is
Mhm.
part two. So this is a continuation of a conversation that we started last week. So hopefully you guys have tuned into part one of this
Yeah.
episode. It's called Your
If you
Voice.
haven't, go back and check it out.
Yeah, Your Voice, Your Vote. If you have not checked out part one, check that out before you check this one out for sure. But this is I wanted to continue this conversation, man, because I think there's another layer here that we don't really talk about enough. And honestly, it's not just about voting rights. It's about what happens to people when they slowly stop believing their participation matters. Right. And I think I said in the last episode, like, that's always been a continuous thing that I've always heard growing up. Is like, people shared why they don't vote because they honestly believe their voice don't matter, the votes don't matter, and it's like it don't change nothing and all that type of stuff. And it's like it and that should tell you that it's way deeper than just choosing not to vote, right? It's psychological and it's cultural even, and it's communal.
Facts.
And it's like, and I think a lot of us are seeing that right now, right? Every time the conversation of voting comes up, you have one group of people who's like, vote, vote, vote. And they really, advocacy, that they're really advocates for voting and making sure your voice is heard and all of that. And that's beautiful, right? Just championing, togetherness and just going out and taking advantage of what our ancestors fought for and even died for. And then there's another group of people who's just like, I ain't voting, man. They already know who they gonna pick, and you know what I'm saying? Like they ain't really trying to pay attention to our votes. Our votes don't really matter. It all comes down to who got the money and all this type of stuff. And it's just like, I get it. I do. I get it. But I think it says a lot more, again, not just when it comes to voting. It says a lot when hopelessness has settled in and people just don't want to participate anymore. They don't want to galvanize and say that, no, we take pride in our voice. We take pride in our vote. We take pride in what needs to be done and what needs to be said for our communities, for our region, for our cities, our states, and so forth. And it's like when hopelessness sets in and when people don't want to participate anymore, it's way deeper than just voting. Like that's something else we really gotta jump into.
Nah, I agree, bro. When conversations about voting come up, a lot of people say things like, man, none of this matters anyway. Or even somebody like me, like, I actually used to I'm challenged by this because I used to spiritually bypass situations like voting. Because I would just say stuff like, God's in control anyway.
Hey, man,
See what I'm saying? Like spiritually bypassing it. Like, it don't even really matter who gets in the office because God's the one that really sits on the throne at the end of the day. And I would just say things like, and it's
heard that before.
Bruh, you see what I'm saying? And I sit and think about it, and I'm like, it's like once you have more information and once you have better understanding, like you see how foolish a lot of those sayings are. And I was listening to something earlier, Rich, speaking about psychological. Rich Paul was talking about LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how Michael Jordan and Kobe got the killer mentalities, right? Like that killer instinct. And he was like, but you got to think, Kobe and Mike grew up with a 2-parent household, right? And so Bron grew up with a single mom household. So it's all psychological. Like for Mike and Kobe, like they were able to be selfish because they had a 2-parent household, right? But with Bron, him having a single mom and like all the dynamics that come with, a 2-parent household as opposed to compared to a single parent household, it's all psychological. So it's like, it's not that Bron doesn't have a killer instinct, but it's just that Bron's more selfless because he had a lived experience that, frames his psychological mindset and how he approaches life or how he approaches, anything. And I was like, he's home to something.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, that's why Rich Paul is Rich Paul. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not mad at that take. I think a lot of times when people get to a certain level of whatever their industry is, and in this particular instance, sports, it's like you don't think about how upbringing plays a part at this very high moment of their career. And it's just like,
facts.
You know, that I'm not mad at that take.
Facts. And I say all that to say that it kind of can like carry over into this situation where it's like,
come on,
how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So we have a psychological mentality about politics.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to approach it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we probably aren't even conscious of it or don't even realize it, just because, just like with a lot of things, we were indoctrinated, inherited, or just passed down to us.
Yeah.
Right. And then also too, we have lived experiences where a lot of times what we say, our influence doesn't have any power because of situations like this.
Yeah.
Voting rights acts, being oppressed, being marginalized. So yeah, bro, it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had.
Absolutely.
There definitely needs to be some things that we unlearn and began to relearn.
Yeah.
Not just how can we adapt to the situation, or how can we maneuver the situation, but how can we really, like, it's like we talked about in previous episodes, how can we really implement certain things and certain systems and certain camps and certain communities where people are actually being heard, people actually being seen, felt, loved, and acknowledged that their life matters too. Their skin color matters too.
Straight up.
Straight up.
And I think on a personal level, you know what I'm saying? We all want that, right? Sure. We all want that connection. We all want to be heard and feel seen. Like, just on a personal level, before we even see this from a people group, a community, or just, you know, abroad, on a personal level, you want your voice to be valued, right?
Every human being desires that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's just like an innate thing that we just desire. It's to be heard and to be seen. And it's like, but again, I think even with the unlearning and the relearning and all the things we need to know, and even with me advocating that we need to participate, there has to be some grace given too, right? Because people are just exhausted, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, people are tired of promises. They're tired of division. They're tired of feeling like every election is framed like it's a life or death situation. And not only that, there's an exhaustion of just information, right? And we got social media now where it's just like your whole news feed. Like, as soon as we get to voting season and all of that, whether it be presidential election or like just this past week, it was the primary elections for the senator, right? And shout out to Charles Booker. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Charles Booker, who got the primary seat. But but even during these times, it's just like, people are so exhausted and they're fatigued of information, right? And it's just like, it's overwhelming. Like, it is. Yes. It's overwhelming. If you on your phone,
everything's 1,000 miles an hour.
I mean, bro, it's like you scroll and it's just like everything is just so much information that we get bombarded with. And there's just an exhaustion. There's just an overwhelming just feeling when it comes to it. And sometimes people are just like, whew, man, get that off my phone, bro. Like, bro, I can't, like, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you're exhausted and when there's when you're overwhelmed with a bunch of information, there's no clarity.
Yeah.
There's no clarity. And it's just like, you have to really slow down and take your steps and just start asking the right questions and trying to bit by bit get the right information so that you can make well-informed decisions, especially when it comes to your voting or just knowing what's even in the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? What's even the conversation? Because we can be concerned about so many things and not even realize, hey, bro, your rights are being taken away. You might want to be mindful of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might want to be aware of that so that you can understand what's actually going on in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually a lot of these votings, a lot of the voting elections and a lot of the people that are put in office, eventually the action of that will somehow find its way in your life in real time, right? Whether it be the price with the price of gas, inflation, whether it be how the landscape of certain things look like, you know, job opportunities and, you know, travel. And I mean, eventually there is a consequence to who ends up in these seats.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why it's important for people to get involved. But the part that I keep thinking about is what happens when hopelessness becomes normal.
That's it. I was just thinking of that.
You know, like, what happens when entire communities begin believing my voice doesn't carry any weight anyway. Because once people start believing that, they simply just stop participating. They stop organizing, they stop caring, they stop paying attention, they stop expecting anything better. And eventually, silence becomes their own, it becomes its own kind of defeat.
Yeah.
You know, and for those that are like thirsty for the votes, and, you know, for those that really do have a certain agenda, right? Sometimes people's fatigue is their win. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just to be, you know, with this Voting Rights Act, right? With Section 2 being gutted, right? And Section 2 is put in there specifically to protect the black vote, right? So it's like not being able to protect the black vote is a huge deal. And that's working in favor of somebody. That's working in favor of somebody, right? If we can suppress the vote of a whole people group, right? And not only that, we can put certain discriminatory tactics in the voting and the voting maps that it dilutes their vote. Somebody's winning.
It always keeps you down here, coincidentally, and always
somebody benefits from that. And then once we get ourselves into a mentality of hopelessness and we just not participate no more, we're giving the upper hand to someone else. This is not just all of us and all people just getting exhausted and we're not participating. No, there's people who are in this and they are enraged and they're very engaged with all of the information.
Absolutely.
And they gonna vote, and you shutting up gives them the upper hand.
Fact, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And I think
that's never been no casual civic duty.
No. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I think it's important that's why I really wanted to get into a part 2 of this conversation, because it's like silence becomes its own defeat, its own kind of defeat. You know what I mean?
Yep, it sure does, bro. And it goes back to, like you said, about exhaustion. Like, for many Black Americans, bro, like, people marched for this. People bled for it, right? And like, it's one of those things where it's like, once the needle's been moved and you see progression, like, to see you take a couple steps back is like, wait, what? And after so long, too.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, it was one of those things where this happened and then it got overturned. It's like, this has been an established right that we've had for almost a century.
Sure.
And now we're like changing it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like you said, come on, somebody's benefiting from this, bro.
Absolutely.
Somebody's benefiting from this.
Yeah.
And it's not us.
Yeah.
It ain't us.
No, it's not, right? It's our vote. The people that look like you and I, you know what I'm saying? It's our vote that's being suppressed. Like that is what is explicitly being done.
Facts.
Right?
And is that a coincidence?
It's not a coincidence.
Only for the Black American? Come on, bro.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. And sometimes, and to a degree, it does seem unbelievable, right? It's like,
it's crazy.
We've made all of this progress. And in 1965, this particular Voting Rights Act was put in place to protect the black vote, right? And here we are in 2026, and the black vote is still something that needs to be suppressed. Like, that's still wild to even conceptualize, right? But it's like, it's here. It's the reality, right? And even when you think about, like, what you just said, like, people died in March for this, like, that history still lives in people. It does. It still lives in people.
Facts.
And those are the ones who advocate for the participation of voting and just the participation of, you know, being in politics. Like, nobody's asking you to be a politician, but I think the most powerful thing we can be is aware, right? Aware of not only just the reality of the politics of this current world, but also aware of what part we can play in it.
Facts. Awareness is the prerequisite to any change anyways.
Absolutely. Because if you don't know what's going on, you know, a lot of shit's just flying over your head and you don't even know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And then before you look up, something's taken away from you.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, where did this come from? Well, they only been talking about it for the last 6 months.
You weren't aware until it finally hit.
You know what I'm saying?
Until it affected you individually. That's when you were aware.
And a lot of times that's what people do wait for, right? They wait for things to hit you in your pockets. They wait for it to happen in real time where it actually gets personal. It actually hits home, right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes at that time, it's too late. You kind of either got to like wait it out, or, you know, there's going to have to be some type of togetherness, and we got to get to push it out, you know, but at some point we got to become involved. We got to become aware, but
absolutely,
it is tough to do that when hopelessness has settled in, right? And I think one of the hardest things in America is that some people only understand rights when they're directly impacted by losing them. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but communities that have historically had to fight to be heard, they recognize warning signs differently. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
they do.
Because they've seen what it looks like when systems slowly shift. And I've said in the last, no, I didn't say it in our last episode. I think I made a video about it online, and I was talking about everything is not taken away all at once. Things are taken away gradually.
Facts.
Little by little. And when hopelessness settles in, it makes that much, it expedites that progress. You know what I'm saying? Like when hopelessness settles in, when we're quiet and we just choose not to participate, it expedites the process of things being taken away from you.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? As much as we want this world to be a democracy and everything is in the power of the people, if we don't participate, the power won't be within us.
Man.
If we don't become aware of what's going on, we won't recognize the power that we actually have. We really do have the power. Like, even though this is a far-fetched, dream or reality, if the American people just stopped buying for one day, like didn't buy nothing, no consumerism at all. I know it seems impossible, but just imagine if every single human being just stopped buying, did not buy not 1 cent of anything.
Like, the economy would collapse.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how impactful that would be? Like, that's how much power people have, and we're more powerful in numbers. Man, shoot, just the black community. If we did not consume.
Just for 24 hours.
Because we're some big consumers, bro. Really big consumers. If we just didn't consume, that would have a major impact on the economy.
Man, real talk.
You know what I'm saying?
But probably actually the biggest consumers. Like, our group of people is probably the biggest consumers.
Absolutely.
So imagine what that impact would do to just say, we're going to take that away.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, again, everything is not taken all at once. It's taken gradually, right? It's not overnight. It's not always dramatically, but it's slowly, it's quietly, it's legally.
And which all makes sense.
And systemically, right? Because this particular Section 2 of Voting Rights Act, right, what it does is it allows for certain discriminatory practices to go forth without being checked, right? You would have to prove it.
Hold on. It goes without being checked.
Yeah, like they can set up certain voting maps, right, that would work in the favor of whoever it is that they want to win. And they can get away with doing that. And in order for them to be checked for that, you would have to be able to explicitly prove that in the court of law.
Within that constitution or whatever.
If you think that what's being done is racist or discriminatory, you have to prove that, and it has to hold up in the court of law. But now that voting rights Section 2 being taken out, it makes it harder for you to be able to prove that. Like when you feel like something is being done disproportionately or something like that, like it's going to be that much more harder to try to prove that.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's wild, bro. It's wild.
That is so wild.
And when we fall into hopelessness and when we don't participate and we're not aware of what's going on, it's like one day people are going to realize something changed and they're not going to know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to just slowly see certain rights either taken away or altered or adjusted or, something that's just not good for them.
Real talk. and this is something we got to be honest about. This is not about worship and politics. It's not about acting like one party's perfect. It's not acting like we need to figure out which side we need to choose, one or the other. At the end of the day, it's like you said, it's about participation,
Yeah.
representation, power. And I think if we could come together, like you said, it's a far fetched idea, and that's why these conversations need to continue being had, and people need to continue being reminded and continue to be made aware of. That way, if people have the awareness, then maybe they'll be influenced, and they'll have a sense of hope again, and they'll come out of that hopelessness, and we'll come together.
Yeah.
But I think the only way we're going to be able to come out of that hopelessness is if each individual person, like you said, number one, starts to become aware, and number two, everybody's coming together and will ultimately, willing to be a team.
Yeah.
Be a community, be in unity together without stepping on the other guy.
Yeah.
Without stepping on the little guy or figuring out, because it's typically whenever it's almost like we just talking about with politics. It ultimately benefits one group. And it's like whenever we come together,
mm-hmm.
because we're, again, the same way we look at politicians as saviors, we ultimately look at ourselves as individual saviors.
Yeah.
So when we come together, it's almost like, yeah, but I still got to preserve me though. So, and if we have that mindset going into it.
Yeah, man. And exactly, because because if enough people lose the faith and participation, what happens? Right? What happens when people stop showing up? What happens when communities disconnect from civic life completely? Right? What happens when young people inherit hopelessness instead of responsibility? Like, that's the part that we really need to wrestle with. You know what I'm saying?
Because then it becomes psychological.
Yeah, and it's a cycle. It's just a cycle, right?
Wow.
Generation after generation inheriting the same things. And we already know about inherited frameworks, inherited beliefs. There's a lot of things that we just inherited. Like, we never interrogated it. We never really broke it down, saw how it works and all of that. We just inherited it, and that became our framework. And hopelessness, not being aware, not participating, not understanding what's going on in the world around you, that can be passed down as well.
It sure can, bro. Because I literally vividly remember me at times spiritually bypassing because I was hopeless. Like, man, I'm not gonna influence anything. My little one vote, my individual vote is not gonna matter. So I can just spiritually bypass this and say it don't matter anyways, or God's gonna handle it. I believe in God, so He'll take care of it. All this other stuff. But it's like, bruh, that's just a way for you to not take accountability and responsibility in engaging in this, right?
Yes.
You're aware of it, but even though you're aware of it, it's almost like, are you really aware? Or maybe you're aware, but you don't have understanding. Because I feel like once you really understand something, you're gonna engage. You're gonna choose to engage in or not engage in it, depending upon if it brings harm or if it's for the betterment of others.
Yeah.
But if not, if you just have an awareness, right, but not an understanding of actually how it affects you, not only until it gets to you, but before it gets to you, have an understanding. Because when you explained it to me, D, and I went and checked it out, because I was like, I don't really know much about politics. I went to check it out for myself, broke it down. I broke it down to E.
Yeah.
And we was like, whoa, this is deeper than what we thought.
Yeah.
And so we went into it, studied up on it a little bit, and now we have a little bit better of an understanding of it. And now it's like, oh, I'm definitely getting engaged in this.
That effort is what people need to be doing, right? It's the effort that people need to make, right? It's like, yeah, bro, I get it. I'm not well versed on politics. There's probably some shit I said in this conversation that's like, yeah, bro, you're a little off with that. Like, it's just not my lane. And I'm not even trying to come at it from a place that it is my lane, because it's not. But what we can do is make the effort to listen to those and read and figure out and learn and look up definitions to figure out what's really going on. I mean, shoot, we got ChatGPT now, and you can ask ChatGPT to break down stuff for you, and it'll cite its sources and all of that. It's like, hey, what's going on with the most recent Voting Rights Act decision that the Supreme Court made?
That's how I learned. That's how me and you learned. We got on ChatGPT together.
Break it down. You know what I'm saying? And then you can start using those sources and outsource it and go find some other stuff on Google and really figure out what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what people need to be inspired to do. You don't have to know it all. You just need to be aware. And sometimes it just involves us making the effort to find out. Right? And then you said something like, even in the spiritual sense, like how people just kind of like spiritually bypass all this situation. Like, well, we just need to come together and pray, and we just need to fast, and we need God in control. And it's just like, yeah, a lot of times people lean on that and there's no action behind it, right? And it's like, what people really need to understand is that God has fully given us the responsibility to change the trajectory of how we live in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? He didn't ask us to pray and then do nothing.
And then do nothing, yeah.
He didn't ask us to fast and then do nothing. Right? Do your revivals. Do your prayer service. But when that's done, do some work. You know what I'm saying? Do some work. You feel me? Like, do something. Figure out how you can get involved. Go vote. Mm-hmm. Go make other people aware of what's going on. Have the conversations. Start your little group chat. Like, hey, y'all, I ain't really a political person, but I was reading up on this article and I figured out that this is what's going on. Can y'all help me out? What are y'all's thoughts on this? Like, start that conversation. Become more aware of what's going on. And then I guarantee you, bro, when you become aware, you can figure out how and where you can participate.
And if you're a person that's already aware and has an understanding of this, share it with your friends and family.
Yeah.
Right? Same way you saying somebody can do the work and go find out about this.
Yeah.
The people that already are aware or have an understanding, the same way we preach or evangelize or get on social media and tell everything else we say, share with the friends some things that are going on that ultimately will affect their livelihood, their personhood.
Absolutely. Right? And when you become more aware, what you realize is that the voting scope, it ain't just presidential. There's so many things that's in your county, that's in your region, that's in your city that you can vote for that impacts you directly, right? Mm-hmm. The judge that's in your city hall, the governor that's the governor of your state, the senator,
governor, all this stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Like bro, it's so many different levels. It's so many levels of this, bro. And we have a democracy where you can vote on it. Vote on who has the people's best interests at heart and who has the best strategies and plans to go about making the best effort to succeed at doing that. Right?
Yeah.
That's the power we have. But if we don't participate and if we don't make ourselves aware, then you won't see it as power.
Absolutely.
You won't see it as power, but it's like, again, your silence is someone else's win.
Yep.
It's someone else's win. And it's really that simple, bro. And it's just like, the real conversation is not like who won, who's right, and which side is better, right? But it's what kind of society are we becoming when people no longer believe their voice matters, right? And that's the sad reality that I don't want us to get to again. And this is coming from a person who's not politically driven, and I would consider myself not emotionally connected to politics. You know what I'm saying? Like,
same, I agree.
You're not going to get a rise out of me until harm starts happening, right?
That's it. Yeah. When it comes to the politics, I'm like, I don't even know, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm like, wait.
Just because I hear Donald Trump's name, it doesn't get a rise out of me, right? Yeah. But some of the buffoonery that he posts on his Truth Social site, or some of the stuff that he actually says, it's like some of that stuff is just kind of hard to just turn a blind eye to, right? And turning a blind eye to that and acting like you didn't hear it is wild. It's wild. It makes me question everything about you, bro. It makes me question everything about you. Like, bro, you heard him say that and you don't think nothing of it. Like, it's crazy to me, man. But it's just like, what kind of society are we becoming when people no longer believe that their voice matters? Like, because democracy doesn't just break through laws. Sometimes it breaks through disconnection, right? Through exhaustion, through silence, through people quietly deciding none of this matters anyway. And I don't think that's a place any of us should be comfortable living in.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree, bro.
And that was really why I wanted to kind of have a part 2 of this conversation, right? Again, just to spark the conversation, not to even give answers, but also to just to kind of ground us in the reality of what it looks like when we vote or when we choose not to. Right.
Yeah.
And also just to give grace to those who are overwhelmed and they're exhausted by the information and just the whole hustle and bustle of what politics really is, man. It gets overwhelming. And not only that, some people are just living in situations where, man, I'm not even thinking about these things. I'm really just trying to put food on my table for tomorrow.
Facts. People living paycheck to paycheck.
You know what I'm saying? But what they do need to understand is that your paycheck to paycheck living, you're struggling. Some of that is impacted, can be affected even more. And sometimes you being silent on that and not even participating in what could change the trajectory of your lifestyle. Like, be involved in that. Right? Like, and I think it's important for sometimes leaders and communicators and even platforms like this is to help ground people in the reality, but also inspire them and help them see your participation does matter. Your participation does matter, and helping them understand, like, listen, if you got 10 of your people and they got 10 of their people and they got 10 of their people and we all become well informed on what's going on, you headed down there to your city hall right now to make a decision on what's going on. You can start the petition because they got another liquor store on your block that's being built. And you's like, yo, we already got 2 of them. Like, no, we don't need this. Real. Turn it into something else. Right?
That's real.
You can change the trajectory of the potholes that's in your neighborhood. Right? If cars are speeding through your neighborhood, you can vote to get speed bumps put into your street. You feel me? Like, stuff like that. Like, stuff like that is what you can start participating in, right? To show that you care not only for yourself, but the people around you. And if we all kind of develop and adopted that type of mentality, imagine what type of world we live in. And imagine what type of neighborhoods we live in.
I completely agree, bro. I'm glad you brought up grace, because I wanted to bring that up too again about, like, giving grace to people. Because, like you said, when I sit back and put myself in other people's shoes, it's in a way, it's almost like politics and religion kind of almost go hand in hand. It's in terms of the exhaustion that people feel having these conversations, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking like, whenever we approach these conversations with people, it's like you said it's like we talked about in the beginning of the episode where we said we all have that innate desire to feel heard, to feel seen, to feel valued, right? And I think I'm really challenged by this, bro, because like I said, I haven't really been into politics, and I wouldn't say I necessarily plan on getting into it.
Sure.
But I do plan on making myself more aware of some of the policies and things going on, not just the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah.
You know, but things that are really harmful to other people. No one really cares what you know, D, until they know that you care. And so I think, again, the people that aren't aware, we can tell them to get up and, like, hey, make yourself aware. But I think if we show people like me and you or other people that are aware or have an understanding, you know, at least to a basic level, if we show people that we care about the harm that it's causing them, then maybe they can kind of get out of that state or condition of hopelessness and exhaustion.
Yeah.
And they can be reignited.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not just me. It's not to just feel alone in this situation and I'm hopeless and no one really cares.
Yeah.
But I see this brother that cares.
Yeah.
Just like we talked about with Charles Booker. Like, shout out to Charles again. Like, and the reason why so many people were excited is because Charles showed, or at least, you know, from what I've seen, he's shown that he cares for people, right? His goal is harm reduction for the people and the betterment of everybody's lives.
Absolutely.
And I think when we see more people like that, sharing and making aware, I don't know, there's plenty of people out there, Joshua Doss, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Joshua Doss and people like that. I repost guys like that, share that information, because they're experts on politics.
Now that they look like us.
They look like us, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's important. That's important, right? Because it's like that's where trust comes in, right? Because even with us having this conversation, and even with our, you know, limited knowledge on politics and all the ins and outs of that, it's like there's a level of trust that our platform will begin to have. Because we're talking about things that matter. We're talking about things that does hit home. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, at the end of the day, bro, we talk about faith and theology and church. None of that matters when the people that we're talking to are just trying to get food on the table for the next day and just trying to keep their lights on. Like, I don't care about none of your theology, bro, when you can't even open a conversation about real lived experiences that people are really dealing with, right? I always talk about it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's just like, until these things are set in place,
I ain't thinking about that.
Why would I open my mind to theology and new covenant or grace or understanding all of these other things. It's like all of that stuff is arbitrary, bro.
Yeah. Like but it's gonna put food on my plate and pay bills and make sure my kids are straight. I ain't getting incentives or things taken away from me because of rights being, manipulated and changed.
And then they tell you,
come on, bro.
God can put food on your plate.
He fed 5,000 people.
That's all you need to have your mind on is God, and He's gonna. And it's like, I hear you, but that's not inspiring me, bro. That's not
it's funny because if you ask people like, all right, can I snap my fingers right now based off of what you're saying and like it changed my situation, and it can't. So it's like what you're saying to me doesn't really matter because it can't change my situation.
Hey, bro, I saw the most cringy thing online the other day. This one chick was trying to open a jar of something, and it was just like super tight, and she couldn't open it. And she just said, "Let me just say a prayer." And she said a prayer.
Did the jar open, D?
The jar.
Oh, that's so cringy, even when you just talked about it.
I said, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. And she's swerving down now. Prayer works. Hey, if somebody prayer works for real, give me your testimony on that. Okay, just listen. I was trying to open a jar, right? And I said a quick little prayer. And then when the jar opened, can you believe it?
Yeah, after you done wrestle with it for 8 minutes,
nigga done loosened it up, set it down, said a prayer, it twists easy. You're like, why wasn't this easy before?
Why are we praying about a jar being open anyway?
That's not even what prayer's for. We ain't even gonna get into that, but that's not even what prayer's for.
If you don't hand this jar over to somebody that's stronger than you.
Hey, we over spiritualize everything, bro.
Man, it's crazy, bro. Yeah. And we over spiritualize it so much that we don't participate in anything.
We get lazy.
You know what I'm saying?
You just say stuff like God's gonna handle it. It just takes the responsibility and accountability off.
Yeah, it outsources it.
That's it.
It outsources it, man. All we got to do is pray and God will move. And it's just like, no, that's not the formula. It's no formula to this. Like, you have the responsibility. You have the power to actually put your hands to something and change it. Your voice.
You're the vessel.
You're the vessel.
The Spirit works through a vessel, not like on its own arbitrarily by itself. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But I just thought it was important for us to have this conversation, man. And go out there. For those of you listening, vote. Understand that your voice does matter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But voting is not going to change everything, but it is a part of the process of participation. And it's very important for us to become more aware. Nobody's asking you to be a politician. You ain't got to go out there and read all the books about politics and all of that. Like, you just need to be aware about what's going on and how this has an impact on your life, right? And I think if we bring everything to a personal based level, right, and we'll start to kind of see, okay, well, where does this show up for me, right? If with this big decision going on, what does that mean for me and my household, right? Yeah. And then how can I spread this information to my family and friends, just to make sure the conversation is going on and make sure we're all aware of what's actually happening, right? Because power doesn't disappear. Power doesn't only disappear when it's taken. Sometimes it fades when people stop believing they ever had it.
Say that again.
Power doesn't only disappear when it's taken. Sometimes it fades when people stop believing they ever had it. And I think it's important for us to understand the power that we hold, the power that we have. And we walk in that power. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about this wishing and hoping power. I'm talking about, where we grassroots level power.
Absolutely.
The power
where we actually can do something.
The power that we've seen our ancestors operate in.
We can do the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's the power we have as a people, bro. And I think it's important for us to be aware of that power that we have. And I think the more we inform ourselves and the more we make ourselves aware, the more we are aware of the power that we actually have.
You said something, D, and it just made me think of something. remember when you said, I don't want us to get back to a point. I don't want it to get to a point where people become hopeless and exhausted.
Yeah.
That made me just think of something, man. It's like, I hope this isn't what it takes, but the same way, think about like back when our ancestors did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like our back was against the wall. So we were like, let's come together in arms and like,
had to.
Our backs, you see what I'm saying? But it's like nowadays, is it gonna take for our backs to be against the wall for us to come in arms again? I hope not.
It might.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But honestly, why are we not seeing our backs against the wall already?
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we not seeing that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why are we not seeing that at all? Like, when you got people who are willing to take your rights away, when you got people who are willing to make it harder for you to understand what's going on, when you got people who's putting money behind propaganda to make you, you know, believe something entirely like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so many narratives that's floating around, and people are really just trying to get you to bite on their bait.
Most
you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we not seeing it as our backs against the wall now? Like, why are we not seeing it see it as an urgency to do something? You feel me?
Because it hasn't affected that individual yet. Whoever doesn't see it as urgent.
Unfortunately, for some people, it does have to get to that. But like just as a people, we shouldn't have to wait for something catastrophic to happen in order for us. You feel me? We should when we are aware, you should already see where things are going, right? And then we put a plan together and be like, we can't let it get here.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if we keep letting this person do this, if we keep letting this go, and if we keep letting this sway in this direction, this is what's going to happen.
And it's that much harder to like stop it.
Yeah. Once it gets to a certain place, right, the fight changes, right? Now we gotta, you know, come together, go back to the drawing board and figure out what's something different, because we could have stopped this a minute ago. But enough of us wasn't really aware of what's going on.
I'm really challenged by this, bro.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, me too, bro. And it's like, again, I ain't no politic guru.
I'm not either.
I'm not in it.
But that's actually why I'm challenged by it. Just because it's like, man, I probably can be more aware on a lot of different things when it comes to policy.
And that don't give us an excuse to not be aware. You know what I'm saying? And I challenge every pastor, any leader, anybody that's leading an organization of any kind, especially in the church and spiritual space. Like, these should be a part of your conversations too, right?
Definitely.
The most recent decision of the Voting Rights Act should be talked about, right? Your parishioners are the communities. These are the people who leave your organization or leave your facility, and they go back to their neighborhoods, and these decisions that's made in the political world affect your parishioners. Why are you not talking about it? You right? You know what I'm saying? Why are you not talking about it? And so I thought it was our responsibility to have this conversation on this platform, but at the same time, I definitely wanted to ground us in the reality of what's going on in our world, and just kind of spark the idea, or spark the conversation, and spark the awareness of things that we need to be aware of, so that we can continue the conversation, but eventually that conversation turns into action and planning and coming together and making things happen, because the power is within us. And we've seen this happen historically. We've seen our ancestors come together and make decisions and say, hey, we're not going to do this. We are going to do this. And we've seen things happen. We've seen barriers be broken down. We've seen them overcome so many things just because they decided to come together and do it together. Right. And it's important for us to model that same structure.
Malcolm said, if you don't stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
Hey, man, we should be tired of falling, too.
Absolutely.
We should be tired of falling.
We're going to continue these conversations, y'all, because like I said, I'm challenged by this, and we need to be made aware. So I'm pretty sure these would be in agreement with me on this, where we're going to continue these conversations. Stuff like this come out, best believe we're going to have a conversation.
Man, this podcast ain't about theology and just faith and church. We talk about culture and global topics and world. I mean, because we all trying to figure this out, man. We all living in the same world, right? And we seeing the same things, and we experiencing the same things. We may all have different, points of views, or we may all sit in a different seat and see it at a certain angle, but in some way, form, or fashion, we're all impacted about what's going on around us in this world. And
very similar journeys. Yeah,
it would do our community and those who listen to us a disservice if we don't make these things a part of our conversations.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
That's 100, bro.
We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation, and we hope that it, sparked more conversation. Feel free to share with us where you guys agree, disagree, where we got it wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind being wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind being corrected. If I said something out of line or said something that was wrong, or I was misinformed about something, cool. Point me in the right direction, bro. Seriously. So, but
and I'm open for more information too. Like any of y'all listening, email, send a DM, text, get my number, whatever.
Yeah, man. You can find me
on me more information.
You can find me on KULTUUR _ on Instagram.
Y'all can find me on Instagram at TOINNE
96. Yep. Yes, so as always, man, be curious, ask questions, and talk your shit. Peace.